welcome back. And Alina, you're still with us, and that's wonderful. And we have David Willoughby. You are a master's student in you're a graduate student in clinical psychology applied development.
Correct. Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Well, thank you for coming. And you were talking just before the break about your role in coaching and how you're able to work with a child or an adult who's been diagnosed by somebody like Dr. Calvert. And now you had said there were some interesting comments that Dr. Calvert made during the first segment that you would like to address.
Well, when it comes to the frontal lobes, they're very much related to ADHD. And as Dr. Calvert was talking about, forming a sort of auxiliary frontal lobe is really important for people with ADHD. And what I mean by that is sort of taking some of the tasks that the frontal lobe would normally be working on and putting them into the environment. So organizing your environment, creating some environmental accommodations, basically trying to take as much of that load off your brain as possible so that you can work more effectively. And we find that helps a lot of people with ADHD.
Exactly. That's exactly what we do in coaching. So I'm an ADHD coach, and as it said under my face before, mostly what I do is help people restructure their environment as well as their own habits to start working with the world a lot better than previously. So a lot of my clients, actually the majority of which are adults with ADHD, they have the idea that they are, for some reason, that they're lazy because they know they're underperforming at their potential. Right. Most people are saying, "Oh, you're so smart, you're so good at things. Why aren't you trying harder? Why aren't you working harder?" And I got that as well when I was younger because I was diagnosed about 5 years ago myself with ADHD and attentive type. And I was having the same thing in my life. Everyone, "Oh, you're so smart, but what's going wrong?" Exactly. And so it wasn't until I did my own coaching and I started understanding that, oh my goodness, I can get so much done in the world, and I don't have to be trapped in kind of the beliefs that I created around myself, or the things other people began to expect from me as I was underperforming. And so with most of my clients, what we work on is creating habits, because for people with ADD, that's the hardest thing to create and maintain, mostly because the executive functions, so anything to do with organizing, time management, remembering things, accessing stuff from our memory and properly encoding things into our memory, that stuff works a bit differently with ADD. And so we need completely different systems to remember things, to organize things, instead of just trying to use what everyone else is doing. Oh, let's try that, and just keep running into a wall every time.
Right. And so is this the kind of work you're doing as well then?
I'm learning a lot about that sort of thing, as well as how to diagnose ADHD and giving recommendations to parents about how they can best treat their child. Because for a lot of parents, whether they go with medication or not is very much a personal choice. And whether they do or not, you still want to address the behavioral issues that are sometimes found in ADHD. Now, how you address that often varies whether you're dealing with someone who's a child, an adolescent, or an adult. With children and adolescents, it's a lot more of creating reinforcement schedules for them. So a lot of positive reinforcement, not punishments. A lot of people think that, if you punish the child, if you yell at them, that doesn't work at all. In fact, that's very counterproductive. What you want to do is reward the behaviors that you want to see. So chunking tasks into smaller and smaller chunks, and then giving them small rewards, whether it be small bits of candy or privileges or anything that the child can use as an incentive to get work done. That kind of helps with their goal-directed behavior.
Right, and just to piggyback on that for a moment, the big reason why we don't use punishment around ADD is because that actually makes the brain go a bit crazy around your executive functions. You get completely overloaded with cortisol, the stress hormone, completely overloads everything, and you're not able to think anymore. So if you're trying to motivate someone with shaming practices or guilt, you're just making someone who's just going to sit staring at the wall and trying to figure out why they can't make decisions as to what to do, but they really want to. So it's really important to use incentives and be really calm with them and help support them and create little steps to get to what they're aiming for.
And you're trying to show them the strengths that they do have, and that and actually, do you inform them that, okay, your brain works a little bit different from other folks, and that doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad, it's just a fact?
A lot of time you see children with ADHD often have hills and valleys in their cognitive abilities. So sometimes they have very specific strengths and very specific weaknesses, and I'll talk a little bit about what their cognitive weaknesses are a bit later, but oftentimes they are very smart and intelligent people, but unfortunately they grow up thinking that they're not smart, that they're stupid or that they're lazy, because they've never known that they had this diagnosis. and therefore they don't understand why they're not achieving success in school and in life in general, and a lot of times they underachieve.
Well, and if it's linked with a learning disability in addition to that, so that's a sort of a double whammy, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And just to kind of bring that to working with groups now. So the big thing for people with ADD is actually getting them to see other people with ADD. And something that we do here in Guelph is we have 2 groups that we run. We have the monthly ADHD support group. That's just a free group where adults with ADHD or people 16 plus can come to the group and just see what everyone else is working through. We can work through things together. And that already puts people so far in their thinking, because now it's not as much shame on not doing anything. It's more like, oh, other people are running into issues too, and these are valid issues that I need to solve instead of just hate myself about. So there's that group, and there's also the second group we have, which is the Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Adult ADHD group, and that happens every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m.
And so again, you're showing that, okay, you're not alone in this battle. And
exactly.
It's called milieu therapy, I believe, where you can kind of hang around with other people that have the same problems you have, the same diagnoses, and that often improves a lot of the different problems that come with ADHD, including mood problems and social problems that are often associated with it, because you see that you're really not alone in this struggle, that there's often other people that are also smart that for one reason or another, because of their ADHD, it's gotten in the way for them.
Okay, and does this work, assuming that the family has decided to go with the drug option, does this approach help that group as well?
I'm really glad that you brought that up. A lot of people think it's either drugs or behavioral coaching, but actually studies have shown when they're joined together, it's the most effective. What I usually do in my practice, though, is that we try to do the behavioral route as far as we can go until we start running into issues or they're not able to progress quickly. Then we go, okay, let's start talking to your doctor. What kind of pharmacological help can we use?
Right. So. Now, in terms of the support groups, do you find that they become friends? This relationship continues?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we've been running the support group for about 3 years and a half now, and there's just such sturdy friendships, and I've met so many people there myself, and a lot of them have become clients, and we've just been able to work so much further together, knowing that other people are going through this too, instead of kind of sitting at home and feeling ashamed of what we're doing, which is so ridiculous, because the biggest thing the support groups I find is actually good for, or are good for, are showing them their strengths. Because so many people with ADD will disqualify it and be like, oh, sure, I'm good at, art, or yeah, I'm good at drama, or I'm good at talking to people, or whatever, but that doesn't matter, I'm bad at math. And we're totally changing things around to really value those things.
Right.
And make careers out of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, we're just about to come up to the next break already. I can't believe it. But I know afterwards you said you're going to be talking about some learning problems that you can address and the kinds of approaches you make. And I just wanted to invite folks, if you have some questions, feel free to give us a call, email us, tweet us. We'd love to hear from you. And again, we'll see you right after the break.